What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a hoot and a holler, a true banger, the very first upload of 2024. Listen, I know we're 2 weeks into the year and I haven't posted. I'm very sorry. I got a new PC and I've also been in the background cooking up the Gobcast. We got the studio all set up and it's coming very soon. In fact, we're actually filming this upcoming week for the first full official episode. Also, check out my new brand, Only Gas. If you want the gas delivered to your door, you know the drill. Onlygas.com, baby. Without further ado, let's dive right into the video because I am very excited to bring you the first video of many to come in 2024. Thank you all for hanging around. Thank you all for watching the content. Hey, so in today's video, we're talking about, was taking Xanax worth it? Now, this is something that I have done before many times. I did this with coke. I did this with crack. I've done this with a few substances. And this is something that, you know, periodically I like to go back and look back at my prior drug use. And I like to reflect upon whether or not it was worth it. And I think it makes for a fun video when I do that reflection into a microphone instead of in my head. So today, we're going to discuss whether or not my Xan addiction was worth it. Now, before we answer that question, we got to give a little bit of background information. I assume a lot of you watching this video have probably been around for a bit. We got a tight-knit community, but for those of you guys who haven't been around for very long, I've been popping Xan since I was a youngin'. I was 16 when I tried it for the first time, and I fell in love pretty much immediately. My second semester of my junior year of high school was pretty much entirely just Xanax, just a cocktail of drugs, but Xanax was a common theme throughout. You know, I kept going through these phases where I'd stop taking bars and then I'd come back to them. And throughout my adult life, as I got older and, didn't graduate high school, I dropped out, but got out of high school and got older, Xanax just kept coming back. And it wasn't until a few years ago that I actually fully kicked it. And, you know, Xanax is a very different beast from any other drug that I'd ever done because most of the other drugs that I stopped taking, I stopped taking because of something negative. Either I was experiencing negative side effects for the first time or I just straight up wasn't enjoying it anymore. I wasn't having fun. I was chasing the dragon. I wasn't getting high enough like I used to. But Xanax was the exception. Xanax was the anomaly, the outlier among all those other drugs. Because Xanax was a drug that I quit because I loved it so fucking much. Xanax was a drug that I quit because I knew that it was the one substance that would absolutely ruin my life if I didn't force myself to quit it. And quitting Xans was one of the most difficult things that I ever did in my life. And yeah, I replaced it with just smoking a ton of weed. But still to this very day, I fantasize about taking Xans in a way that I don't really do with any other drugs. I was a raging cocaine addict for years and years of my life, and I did a lot. I put a lot of stuff in my nose, but I still think back about Xanax and I reminisce about that more than I do the blow, more than I do than any other drug. Coke is just, it takes a back seat to Xans in my brain, even though objectively I love coke. Mentally, you know, when I logically think about it, I would pick coke over Xanax pretty much every time. But there's just this craving in the back of my brain. I almost, it's like my brain is drooling. I'm feral when I think about Xanax. Any benzo in particular, but Xanax is that one that's so dangerous because it's absolutely incredible. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that it sucks. You know, a lot of people who talk about drugs, they'll try to lie to you and they'll tell you that a drug is bad to encourage you not to do it. But that's bullshit. Nobody would be taking this shit. Nobody would be doing these drugs if they didn't feel amazing. And I hate to admit that Xanax is a deadly combination of one of the most amazing feeling substances I've ever taken and one of the easiest to acquire substances I've ever taken. Xanax is everywhere. It's been everywhere and it will continue to be everywhere because faking it and just pressing real alp yourself is so incredibly easy. Here's the thing. The chemical in Xanax that gives you the feeling is called alprazolam, right? And alprazolam is a substance that for a long time Dudes in China have just been making Flualp and different precursors and other derivatives of it and pressing them into pills that look like Xanax and selling them on the deep web. And I and my friends, many of my friends, are a victim of a lot of these Flualp Xans. Nowadays, the Xans are even worse. Flualp is the least of your worries because now they're putting fentanyl in them. So it's 10 times more dangerous than the little Flualp fuckers the Atizalams ever were. Nowadays, it's risky. But back when I was in high school, the Xanax generally wouldn't kill you. You'd just knock yourself out before you ever got close enough to a point of dying. And that was another very dangerous part of it. Time would just disintegrate off the Xans. When I was younger, I remember I used to wake up in the morning and I'd meet this girl in the library and I'd buy her Xan script off her. She didn't have the 2 milligram ladders. She had the little blue ones. I think they were a 1/4 milligram or a half. They weren't very big dose, but she had a good amount of them and I'd buy them and just eat them and the time would fly. And as I got older, I started buying bigger and bigger doses. I'd buy the school buses. I'd buy the 1 milligram ladders. And then I'd buy the 2 milligrams, right? Then it would get really serious. 2 milligram is the highest prescription dose that they were making in regular bars. Once I got to the script 2 milligrams, it was getting serious. And the thing is, even when we were young, it was still really easy to get a Xan script. I had multiple friends who either had parents or grandparents that they just steal the whole bottle and sell it to people, or they themselves somehow got a script for it, despite obviously not needing one. And when I was younger, Xanax was me and my friends' first real introduction to getting truly fucked up. I'm not talking about smoking some weed and getting stoned. I'm talking really fucked up. Xanax bricks you. You are a zombie. And when we were younger, we liked to do the most dangerous shit possible, like mix it with liquor. So we would go to the grocery store and steal a bottle, and we pop a couple bars, and we could pass one bottle around and all get wasted. And we never considered the consequences of that. My best friend suffocated to death because he vomited in his sleep off hella pills and liquor. It's that easy for that to happen to anyone, bro, and you won't even know it's fucking coming. And that's the worst thing about Xanax. You're a zombie. You don't think straight, so you'll drink a little liquor. You'll pick up that other drug and you'll take it. You'll lose day after day worth of time, valuable time that you can't get back, doing absolutely nothing, barred out of your mind, and you'll remember very little of it. Very little of it. And as time goes on, you build a tolerance really quickly, because that's exactly what happened to me and a lot of my friends. We all popped bars in high school. It was an epidemic. My entire high school was just a bunch of bartards, man. Once I got kicked out of my main school and sent to an alternative school, I could go to the bathroom at any period of the day, first period or dead last, didn't matter, and I could buy some Xans right there. I didn't have to text nobody to meet me there. Motherfuckers would just be in there ready to serve me. That's how popular it was. That's how widespread poppin' Xans was when I was in high school. Mind you, I was in high school in 2015, 2016. This was right when motherfuckers like Future were coming up. Dirty Sprite was like the hottest album in the school, all right? So you guys can imagine how heavy this shit was. And the amount of days that I look back on and I'm like, man, I wish I remember more, but all I remember is that I was barred out and pretty much what my friends told me in a few key points. And I look back at a lot of those days and I'm like, man, I wish I could get those back, you know? And as a drug, Xanax feels amazing. Like I mentioned earlier, it really does. You know, it calms you the fuck down. You have not a care in the world. You could get shot in the arm off the bars, honestly. I don't think I would care. Shoot me, blick me, blow me down. I don't give a damn. Okay? Off the bars, I'm vibing. I absolutely do not care. Put me in a cartel-style execution video. I'm vibing all the way to the end off 2 fucking ladders. That's all I need. It's dangerous, man. There's no other drug that does that to me. Nothing else I've ever taken in my life. K-pins are close, but not really, man. Xanax in particular is just fucked up, dude. It's the one substance that, honest to God, I don't recommend doing any of the things I've done in my life on this channel. I will never recommend that. I don't recommend it in real life either. I don't just say it for the internet. Really, don't do what I do, man. Don't follow in my footsteps. It's not cool. You can die doing this shit. It's really not cool. But Xanax in particular, I like genuinely, dude, do any other drug. Do damn near anything else. Because the problem with Xanax is it's way more socially accepted than a lot of the harder drugs, when in reality it hits like a harder drug, you get addicted like a harder drug, it fucks your life up like a harder drug. It's realistically, it's an introduction to heroin, it's an introduction to opiates, bro. You start popping Xans, you're gonna escalate at some point. If you're lucky, you're gonna quit that shit. And the reason I say this is because I have friend after friend after friend that I have watched as I got older that started popping bars when we were 14, 15, 16, and they got older, and these kids tried to quit, and they had seizures, they go to jail, they start robbing and stealing to support their habit. They have fucking 2 kids, and they're in jail and can't support them, and 2 different baby mamas that they fucked off the bars and don't even remember doing it. Like, all of my friends who were bartards when we were younger have absolutely ruined their lives, those that continued doing it after we grew up. There's a certain point where every drug that you're addicted to stops being fun and starts really impacting your life. And the point that happens with Xanax is earlier on than almost any other drug I've seen. Xanax will ruin your life and you won't even know it. You won't even remember it. You'll have no fucking idea, because as long as you're able to get your bars, that's all that matters, man. It's terrible. This video kind of has a different tone than my other videos I've made, the other worth it videos I've made. Because the other ones I've made, you know, crack, cocaine, I feel like I had a few more positive things to say about the substance, and I generally had a better opinion of the substance. Xanax, I really mean it, is my least favorite substance on earth. I swear to God, if one of my homies came to me and said they snorted heroin for the first time, I think I would be less concerned than if they came to me and said they took Xans for the first time. And I know that to a lot of people that sounds irrational, but it's because of my personal experience. Xanax has really, really fucked up a lot of people around me and myself. You see, as I got older, my Xanax use transformed from being a recreational thing to being something that I did to self-medicate, right? So if I had a problem, let's say I was broke, I was out of money, I wasn't going to be able to pay my bills, I was stressed out, I would just pop Xans. As recently as 2021, I was just getting barred out and laying in my bed doing nothing all day, just forgetting about all of my problems. I used to live stream barred the fuck out. Quite a few guys probably remember those. Those are some streams that were very ugly. And Xanax caused me to make some of the worst decisions and do some of the worst things that ever. I mean, things that on most other drugs I would never consider thinking of or doing. Xanax just makes people shitty. It really does. You become a shittier person the more Xanax you take. And I swear by that. Those of you out there watching this video, some of you guys might be self-aware of it, and some of you might be offended by that comment. But really, genuinely, any of you watching this that are addicted to Xanax, that know you are, that take it every day, that take a lot of it, take a real self-introspective look back at, you know, how you are as a person, and maybe wait till you sober up, you know, maybe wait till you wake up tomorrow, you know, but just take a look back at your personality, the things you do, the people you hang out with, the way you talk to and treat the people. And I was never a shittier person in my entire life than I was during my phases where I was off the fucking bars every day. Xanax made me have no regard for myself or others, no regard for my well-being, my future, anything. The only thing I cared about was vibing, you know? And when you're younger, when you're just getting into it, that's great. That's awesome, because that is all you care about. But it turns ugly super fucking fast. And, you know, to answer the question of this video, no, man. Taking Xanax is not worth it. I've spent thousands of dollars buying Xans in my life. I've served a lot of homies Xans. I used to order hella on the deep web. I've bought a lot of them. I've taken a lot of fakes. I've taken a lot of real ones. It's never been worth it. I can't name one scenario where I look back and have what I consider like a fond memory on Xanax. I look back at it and I say, wow, I was fried that day. Just how stupid was I that day? You know, I don't have one single instance I look back to off the bars and go like, yeah, that was really enjoyable. I'd like to relive that. Most other drugs that I've done, I'll admit, I have quite a few moments where I'm like, yeah, if I could go back and relive that today, I probably would. You name it. Cocaine, fucking acid. I would probably go back and relive the crack cooking and smoking again. That shit was kind of fun. That was a great memory, I'm going to be honest. You know, the shrooms, like I have a lot of memories on all of these different substances where I look back and say, hey, I would go back and relive that moment. That was a fond memory of mine. Xanax, I have none. There's not one instance where I'm like, wow, I'm so happy, because your brain is just a bowl of fucking oatmeal on this shit. If there's one thing that I want you to pull out of this video, do any other drug on earth. If you're dead set on doing a drug, do anything else, man. Like, Xanax is the one that you really shouldn't touch. It's fucked up, man. Granted, yes, you shouldn't touch opiates. Yes, you shouldn't really touch any drugs. You shouldn't, maybe you should smoke a little weed. I'm not going to say you shouldn't do that. Fuck everything else. But listen, Xanax is really the one that you shouldn't fuck with. And I hope you take that away from this video. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Check out my brand Only Gas. You know the vibe. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out, gamers. Happy 2024. Doses.